Most recent sort of headline event I did was that I'd like to talk about was last year for the Paris Olympics. Hello, my name's Nathan. I'm the creative director of Rouge Events. Rouge Events was established, 24 years ago now in 2001. We are a full service event design and production agency. That means that when a client comes to us with a brief, we can take that on from end to end, from start to finish. And I started in the world of events whilst I was at university. I had a part-time job working at one of London's oldest and finest hotels, the Dorchester. And whilst studying history at university, I fell in love with the world of events. I worked in the hotel ballroom. It was so exciting in my early 20s. And after university, I decided, right, that was the route that I wanted. And I carried on working there full time. Did that for a few years. And then, yeah, in my early 20s, I decided, you know what, I really want to create events outside of this building, outside of this wonderful five-star hotel. So myself and two colleagues left at the same time to set up Rouge Events. And yeah, now 24 years later, here we are, still doing it, still rock and roll. It depends what a client's really hiring me to do, depends on what stage of the process they're at. But if I take a typical client, which might resonate perhaps with some of my co-working colleagues, they often come with a bit of an idea, but they haven't really got the strategy to kind of support it and the why, and they haven't fleshed out the thinking of what is the business case for this event. My clients don't spend hundreds of thousands of pounds on one night only just because it's a nice, fun thing to do. For sure, there's some quite developed and nuanced communication and marketing objectives to sort of be achieved. But once we've done all of that kind of strategy thing, we get into ideation and what could it look like? The big idea, the crazy idea, get them all out, mood boards, creative, that kind of thing. See which sort of angle, which direction the clients love. And then we move into a kind of design phase. Okay, we have the big ideas, but what is it actually going to look like? What shape, what size, how are we going to fit it in? And that kind of leads on to logistics. It's all very well having this amazing stage, but have you got enough time to squeeze it through a really small door into a really massive venue within 12 hours? So there's a lot of planning, planning, planning. The thing about events and why I love it is you can do all the planning in the world and you can be really experienced, but of course, a curveball will happen of some description, something that wasn't planned, the unexpected. Maybe there was a hurricane, maybe someone was taken really ill in the middle of your show, maybe. And so I think clients hire us for all of those things that lead up to that point, but also that ability to deal with the unexpected that just happens and make it sort of go away, make it be okay. And I guess that's where that sort of, couple of decades of experience now really kicks in and clients can feel reassured whatever it is that comes up, hopefully, we'll be able to deal with it. Just to help folks visualize at those sort of big scale productions, we might have 2 to 300 crew working at that event. So that's an awful lot of people for a start. So imagine, whilst we're not in the military, and it's not something I've ever been in order to sort of deal with the kind of unexpected, there is a cascade, there's generals, there's sergeants, there's, if you see what I mean, and information has to be communicated really clearly and effectively. And I can visualize times where an incident has happened and I've maybe got, or several incidents, some of them, more important than others, a group of people standing around me going, Nathan, I need to know about this. Nathan, I need to know about that. What should we do about this? Da 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 da. And I actually my tactic in that situation is to go silent. And then I tell them who I'm going to deal with in which order. I'm going to do you first, you second, you third, and you fourth. Right, let's go. Bang. And it's that ability as well to kind of just really focus in on that one person in that group for 30 seconds, be really clear, come at them with the solution, and then move on to person number two, person number three, person number four, in order of priority. And I guess there's no time to think. You've just got to hope that what you're suggesting is the right answer. You've expressed it clearly. The people that you're talking to understand and can action it because you can't do everything. You need to give those orders almost like the captain on a ship and hope that you've got amazing people working for you that can turn that into a solution. One thing that makes for a good event is tempo. And what I mean by that is that An event should be like a great piece of music. Sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's slow, sometimes it's calm, sometimes it's happy, sometimes it's dramatic. And if you can vary the tempo in the event, you have mini crescendos as you go through. You're keeping it interesting. You're keeping your guests on their toes. Another thing, another ingredient to a great event, I think, is the sense of discovery. I love for my guests to go, "Oh, have you seen around the corner there? Did you see that? Or there's a secret door over there. If you knock on that, you go into that space. There's this whole nother world that no one seems to know about." I love venues where you're moving people from space to space. I particularly love using tunnels. It sounds strange, or creating tunnels of light, because I love to be able to transport guests from the real world, outside on the street. But then I want to take them. I did a party recently, and it was celebrating a company's anniversary, and we looked at their company 25 years ago when they started, but we created this whole world that wasn't revealed until halfway through the party of 25 years in the future. So there's this whole kind of futuristic space. And in order to get the guests from kind of the present day to 25 years in the future, having a tunnel, some way you sort of transport people mentally from kind of reality to a kind of imagination. And I suppose for me personally, I draw quite a lot on theatre design, tricks in theatre. Theatre's got so cool these days. You don't have to go to a theatre to watch theatre. In London, we have a lot of kind of immersive theatre or secret cinema, etc., etc. Yeah, I really draw on theatre as a way to creating fun and exciting events. Not that I'm an actor or ever worked in a theatre, but I love going to watch really good productions. And I suppose in London, we're quite lucky. There's a lot of good stage productions to see. Most recent sort of headline event I did was that I'd like to talk about was last year for the Paris Olympics. One of our clients is one of the UK national broadcasters, and they were responsible for broadcasting the Paralympics, something that they started in 2012 when London hosted the Olympics, sort of in London. It was a really important event because obviously it's the Olympics or Paralympics in this sense. So, it's a global event. For sure, it was a TV company saying, "Hey, look at us. We're really supporting the sort of team GB." It was exciting because we had a guest list that included guests with a whole range of disabilities you can imagine, not just the athletes, but people around the world are disabled sport, as well as people without disabilities. So, for the first time, I had to create an event that was truly accessible, not just saying it was accessible, but actually was accessible to both disabled and able bodied guests. So, people with some guests literally were quadriplegics, others were blind with a dog, people with neurodivergent issues. Yeah, just a whole range of disability. But then we wanted to bring the Paralympics and Paris to life, as well as, showcasing the channel and saying, "Oh, aren't they great? Look at all the coverage they're going to do. How do we make the event itself memorable?" So we touched on Paris and we touched on para sport. So, for example, we had for the Paris bit, we created a kind of Montmartre vibe in this outdoor space. We had artists like you get down on the River Seine, doing kind of sketches and etches of people. It was all very kind of Parisian, the styling. And then we did this really cool photo mechanic, which is maybe a bit tricky to describe in words, but imagine a kind of cafe scene backdrop behind you. But instead of being a photo, it was just done as though hand drawn in black and white. But then to make it 3D, the table and the chair that the guest sat on and the floor also looked like it was done in this kind of black and white style. And you got to sit in this kind of black and white universe. It sounds quite boring, but it worked really well. And then on the para sport side of things, we worked with a university to create this kind of timed activity. So you have the opportunity to do wheelchair racing, which sounds really interesting, but it goes on this kind of treadmill and you've got to see like how far you can push in 60 seconds. Wow. I mean, it really just brought home the strength of the para athletes. And it was really great. It was like time trials. We had able bodied, disabled people come on. And it was a headline event because it got lots of press coverage. There were lots of stars there, people that support Team GB and so forth. So yeah, it was a quite complicated event because of that disability thing. But it was an event to be proud of because, like, wow, it was just so great to have an event with so many people in wheelchairs and dogs and everyone's drinking champagne. And it was genuinely accessible for everyone that came. What top tips would I share to create a perfect event? Maybe you've got unusually a brief on your desk to organize a conference in Malaga. You've never done it before, or maybe some sort of hospitality. You've got some clients coming in or colleagues coming in. Whatever the shape or size of the event, and I guess like all projects, and a lot of folks will feel familiar with this, is like you've got to nail the objectives of like, why are you doing the thing that you're doing? Why is this happening? What do you want to get out of it? Or when do you want to do it? And where and how? So those sort of W's. But it's amazing how many people skip over the detail of that thinking of the beginning of like why we're doing this. So having your objectives really nailed is super important.